Welcome, everybody. If you are on and joining us, it is now 8:30. Um, welcome, everybody. Let us know where you're listening in from, and we are going to get started. This is a video that I released. Carlos, thanks for joining us. Let me know for sure that you can hear me, and if you've got a question, feel free to post it, and be happy to take any questions. Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. And if you've got a question, feel free to just drop it into the chat box, and I will try to take them in order. So this is a video that Michael, thanks for joining us here, Hampstead, North Carolina. I'm not familiar with that. I'm just outside Charlotte, but so I released this video the other day about kind of the current state of the industry, and where I see kind of the market going. If you haven't watched that video, it's a market update, and this is what the thumbnail looks like. But I thought some of the numbers were real okay outside Wilmington, so on the coast. Gotcha. Pueblo, Colorado, NT Watamula. Um, Thanks for joining us here. If you guys got questions, just drop them in the chat, and we'll go for probably about an hour tonight. My wife is downstairs with all of her lady friends having a bachelorette night. So I've got my kids tucked away in bed, hopefully, for the night, and we'll be out trick-or-treating on Sunday. So that's why we're doing it here on Wednesday. We'll see if we maybe add a Wednesday or switch to Wednesday, if that makes sense. But this video, if you haven't seen it, it talks a lot about where the industry is right now, and kind of some predictions that I've made. Now, they are just predictions, and it's based on my research, based on what I'm hearing from others in the industry. I talk with dealers, manufacturers. I was just down at the International Boat Builders Expo in Tampa a couple of weeks ago. So talked to a few manufacturers down there, talked to some suppliers that supply the hardware necessary to build boats: seats, resins, fiberglass, upholstery, stainless steel, aluminum. It was thread, anything canvas. There were some really cool things, and we did a video on some of the cooler things that I found. Released the video for the hydrofin for pontoons that just released the other day. I did a demo with the Seakeeper guys, and that video is coming out, I think, the early part of November. You'll see that being released, and I've got one more that I'm putting together. This one, yes, ships are getting rerouted to Florida. I think DeSantis said, "Hey, listen, we've got capacity, we've got open ports, we've got truck drivers. We are willing to unload these ships, get these containers on the road." Something I heard after I created this video about the supply chain issue is that part of it is they don't have the truck drivers in California, because of some of the legislation they put in place. That a lot of the truck drivers said, you know what, we're leaving California, and we're not going to work in this state, because we have to be employees, and we can't be independent contractors and run our own rigs. Whether that's 100% true or not, I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. But this is a number that I kind of knew, but I found it very interesting. Again, if you've got questions, I'll answer questions. This is just kind of a I thought was interesting, so I'm sharing it. But if you have, there we go. Let's do that. If you've got questions, go ahead and just put them in the chat, and I will certainly be happy to answer them. But if you look at everybody's saying, "Hey, there's going to be all these boats that are going to flood the market with all these COVID buyers," if you look, there's really not a ton of new boats that are hitting the market. This excludes personal watercraft, so it excludes jet skis. It does include fiberglass jet boats, outboards, inboard, stern drive, and jet boats. The personal watercraft makes up about 80,000. That gets you to the 310,000 power boats that they said. Yeah, Matthew Smith, go ahead and put your question in the chat, and I will get to it. And so, as I was looking at these numbers, you know, this is actual sales that were reported. And what was interesting is there's really only 20,000 extra boats. I mean, this number was like 220,000 boats were sold in 2020. In 2019, that number was right at 200,000. 2018, it was just over 200,000. So it's not like we saw an explosion of new boat sales. Now, this is where it gets interesting is the demand was there, but a lot of the boats that changed hands were not new production boats, they were used boats, and that lack of supply is what drove these prices up. So now the supply chain issue continues to get in the way. If they could, the manufacturers could get the product, could get the motors, could get the resin, could get the upholstery, could get the foam cushion was a big one, the actual foam for the seats. If they could get that material, I think they could sell a lot more boats. But they just haven't been able to get it consistently. Worker shortage, which is something that I talked about briefly in this one, but I've talked about it in others, is that, listen, they shut their factories down for a month and a half. And it seems they shut their factories down, and it seems that they just never got back up to full production. Maybe they didn't get restaffed completely. The supply chain issues, the COVID restrictions of, hey, you've got to wear a mask, you've got to stay 6 feet apart. We've got to quarantine. If one person gets sick on the line, who all goes out? And now that's a very skilled worker that you're putting on quarantine for 2 weeks. And so now you got to bring in somebody that isn't as efficient, isn't as good, the quality department, as you would like. And then what happens? Well, the production goes down. So it's really interesting. So, okay, Matt, my son sells boats in France, specific to those who are retired. Bearing in mind he's vaccinated, does his ability to sell boats lead him to approve consensual rape? I don't, Matthew, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to go ahead and kick you out of here. That is, Captain, noticed a few stress cracks in my transom between the bottom of the outdrive of the boat. Vertical hairline cracks, immediate attention. Harrison, tell me about the boat that you have. What year it is, the make, the model, that kind of stuff. Tell me a little bit about that, and I will get to that here. Definitely seemed like everyone and their mama bought one the past season was a nightmare. Yeah, and Michael, you're right. It seems like everybody was getting a boat, but again, I talked about it. I talked about it in some of my previous market updates that a lot of boats were brought out from the woods, were brought out from the salvage yard. A lot of people started refurbishing and doing that. And I think a lot of the boats were boats that were just sitting there and nobody was using them. And then with this demand hit, they're like, oh crap, I've got $50,000 or $20,000 or $5,000 sitting out there. If I get that cleaned up and sell it, somebody will buy it. Maybe it had issues. maybe it had some, some stress cracks, like Harrison said, on his 2004 wins. And, you know, those are a lot of the boats that I think were hitting the market too. So there's 9 million boats in the US. Every year, another 2 to 300,000 get added. But there's 9 million, 975,000 used boats were sold in 2020. So it dwarfs 3 times more than the new boat. So I think that's where a lot of people were. All right. So Harrison, here's what I would do. It's a 20-some-year-old boat. Take out your screwdriver. Okay. Let me go switch me to big. Take out your screwdriver. And here's what I want you to do. On the gel coat where you're seeing those cracks, I want you to tap. Okay. So when you're tapping, you're listening for the sound, and you're listening for, does it sound like this? Kind of tinking back and nice and solid. Or does it sound like this? Like it's hollow. If it's tinking back, that means your gel coat is nice and solid. Okay. That means you're in pretty good shape, and it's just cosmetic stress cracks. Gel coat, if you've watched my video on how fiberglass boats are made, you've got a thin layer of gel coat, which has the color, and then you've got the laid up fiberglass material behind it, which is the strength. So that really thin, it's a mill, 3 mils maybe. It's really, I don't even know if 3 mils is the right level, but it's really thin, thicker than paint, but thinner than the layer of fiberglass. If it's just cosmetic, you're going to hear that tink. If you're hearing a more of a thud, that means you've got water intrusion. That means you've got water getting into your transom, and your transom is weak. So I want you to tap around everywhere on that transom, around the whole housing. It's probably a Volvo in there, maybe a Mercruiser. Tap all around that. Let's see. Third owner previous had it for 6 years. Said he didn't notice any leakage in the bilge. Okay. So it's you may not notice any water in the bilge. It could be, and this is where you want to really tap and listen, but anywhere there's a through hole, anywhere there's a hole from the outside to the inside. So the transom mount where the lower unit comes out, okay? Tap all around there. The drain plug, tap all around there. If there's a scupper or a through hole, tap around there. If there's a transducer screwed into the transom, tap around there, everywhere around there. And you're just listening. And if you're not sure what that sound is, just go to, somewhere on the interior of the boat and tap where you're like, there's no way water's getting in here. Tap it, and that tink, kind of a nice tinny sound, is what you want to hear. And if you've never heard it before, that'll, just tap somewhere where it's good fiberglass. If you're hearing that tink, it's just stress cracks, and I'm not super worried about it. If I'm hearing that dull thud because there's water intrusion, now you've got to make the decision of, okay, it's a 20-year-old boat. What did you say? It was a 248, 4 winds. So what is that? The Vista, I think, is the Vista a cruiser or a cuddy? Either way, it's a $25,000 boat or so, I would guess, with that 5.0, 25,000. Now you've got to make the decision of, okay, what do we got here? If I'm going to rebuild this transom, how much is that going to cost? How bad is it? Is it a dull sounding everywhere, or is there just a small part? And you can make your decision based on that. A cruiser. So, it's probably a $25,000 boat, maybe even a little bit more right now if you got a trailer, especially. So first thing you want to do is find out, is it cosmetic stress cracks? Not worried at all. Run it. You're good. If you're hearing, and then check it every season, depending on where you're at, maybe twice a season if you keep it in the water year round. If you keep it in the water, let it dry out a little bit before you tap it. Let it sit for a week maybe, and then tap it. But you're listening for that sound. The duller the sound, the more thud the sound, the more, okay, crap. Now you've got water intrusion, and you've got some rot started are already happening. Now, what do you want to do about it? Then I would find a good fiberglass person, I would, start talking to them, have them tap it, have them maybe put a moisture meter on it, and see where you're at, and then make a game plan of what you want to do. Okay. So hopefully, Harrison, that helps you. So it's a up in the air. Could be not a big deal at all. Run it. You got another 20 great years with the boat. Or it could be okay. You've got another, and if you do hear that thud and you feel like there's water intrusion, grab the Volvo drive and shake it. Are you feeling and seeing that transom move? Are you seeing the housing that's, the units coming out? Can you see any flex there? If you're seeing flex, now the rot has really taken hold and you've got some major issues. And again, it depends. If somebody screwed something into the glass and they didn't seal it properly, if a through hull is leaking, or the actual transom assembly is leaking, it could be a major issue. But you just gotta kind of dive in and see. All right, let's see. Did I miss any questions? If you got any other questions, feel free to drop them in. And I will try to limit the crazy people. It's amazing how you do these lives, and this really is live. Obviously, I don't always read the questions before I pop them up, and as you can see, that's what happens. So go ahead and drop another question in. If you got them. But anyway, I thought of that whole video. I thought this was the most interesting. That I knew those numbers, but when you take out the personal watercraft and you see the increase, you're like, yeah, there's not much going on. Michael, no, I no longer sell boats. I stopped selling boats in 2014. I had my second daughter, and my wife works full time, and she has a demanding job. We'll just say that. And I was working at a dealership that was a marina, so I was on the water, which means we were open 7 days a week. And in the summer times, I didn't think I was, but she said, "Listen, you're working 7 days a week. You're taking phone calls at all hours, and we've got these two little kids, and I know you want to coach their basketball team and their baseball team and their volleyball teams and whatever." She's like, "I know you love selling boats, but it's not going to suit our lifestyle long term." So I made a switch out of boat sales into more of a consulting role, working with people in the industry. And that's what I currently do in addition to this. So what's a good resource on how to repair, maintain outboards? Do you have one in specific around the house? Not afraid of repairs. Okay. So, Ignacio, I am a great source for buying, helping you determine that, operating the boat, things like that. There's some other YouTube channels that are fantastic. Born Again Boating, Aaron at Born Again Boating has some amazing videos on the technical aspect of it. The turning wrenches. He's a saltwater guy down in somewhere in the Keys. I want to say it's Marathon, but I'm not 100% sure. His boating channel, he's been doing it for 3 years, 4 years, maybe even longer than that. A crap load of videos, and they're good, and he's good. The other one would be Dangar, D I always get this wrong. DANGAR. DANGAR Marine. He's got a channel. He's been doing it for like 10 years. And he gets into the nitty-gritty. He is an awesome resource for the motor part of it. There's another guy that's got a great channel for gel coat fiberglass repair. Harrison, I was gonna tell you this as well. And his is, oh shoot, good. somebody help me with this if you know it. Good Boat Works Today. That's what it is. Boat Works Today. He's got an awesome one. He's a gel coat guy, and he's been doing it for. I mean, he's got 180,000 subscribers since 2011, and 25, almost 24.5 million views. So he's got a ton of great videos, and he's a great resource as well. But I would definitely check. I would definitely check his out. The other thing that I would do is, I don't know what kind of boat you have, Ignacio, but I would get the owner's manual for the motor that you have. Don't worry about what the boat one. Just get the motor manual, and there'll be a lot of information in there. There's also a manual that I talk about it. I don't remember who does it. I'll try to find it. And but if you just search owner's manual for the type of motor that you have, you can buy it. They're like 40 or $50, and money well spent if you don't have it. Well, tell your wife that she's welcome, and if you wanna look at the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, there's even more information there. There's a negotiation kind of technique, because I sold boats for 5 years, and was a top salesman at my dealership. I've got a pretty good handle on how the system works and how you can use that to your advantage. But there's over 200 videos on my channel as well, that I'm glad you found it, and I'm glad that that gives your wife some confidence. So that is fantastic. All right, there you go. I try to just subtly promote my stuff. I want this to be you guys getting your questions answered. But if there are one of my programs, they're awesome, and I have no problem asking for you to invest in them, because they will definitely be valuable, and there's a money back guarantee. So keep my pontoon at a marina on a lift. Okay, so Russell, tell me what kind of water you're in. Are you in freshwater? Are you in salt water? Um, the first thing is, pull if you got it on a lift. There's two thoughts. Is one, you can put a lot of effort, a lot of cleaning, and a lot of scrubbing, or a lot of money, and have somebody else do those things for you. Freshwater lake, okay. So you can do that, and you can put the shiny and get it just glistening. That's going to last a month, and then it's going to get that kind of chalky, kind of grayed out look to it. Um, you've got to make the decision of, for me, that's how pontoons should look. Is they should look grayed out, and they should just look like pontoons. I think it's crazy to put that time, effort, and money into getting the pontoons shining like a mirror, because they're halfway in the water anyway. And it just, by the nature of the water and the way it works, is I don't think that's for me. I don't invest that time to do that level of cleaning on an aluminum pontoon. But there are some products that you can use to get it that way. Just know it's a ongoing battle, and it's not going to stay long term. If you've got it on a lift, you shouldn't have any problem with growth. So then it's just a matter of, when you get back to the dock, take a soft bristle scrub brush, and just scrub them down, just using the lake water, just dipping it in the lake and kind of scrubbing them down. And that's going to keep them, kind of get any oxidation or any exhaust from the engine that might kind of sink under and get on it. But there's really, that's the best thing that you can do, in my opinion. Um, they do powder coat. They powder coat them from the factory. I don't think you can powder coat them on a existing boat. I think there's a baking process that they have to go through, to, or it's a they spray it in like a enclosed thing, and there's some magnetization, something, the ionization that makes it attract, but then they have to bake it on to get it to set. Otherwise, it's just a fine dust, a powder, that unless you do that second step, it's just going to wipe off. So I don't think that you can do it on a boat. That But I don't have a great answer for you there, partly because for me, it's not worth the time, effort, and money to get it looking that shiny, knowing that it's not going to last. So I haven't really dove into it too much. Maybe something that I need to do. Okay, yep. Glad about that. Agreed. I don't know if that's about this comment or about the born again boating and the other channels. Either way, that's thank you for the comment. And NT Guatemala. See if I got that right. But had a question a few rows back about gas tanks. Let's see. Let me go. Who is that? There we go. Thank you for reminding me of that. Sometimes I skip over if I'm not paying attention. How can you tell if an internal gas tank is fouled before you buy the boat? Is there a year that manufacturer used better tanks? Sir Justice, tell me what kind of boat you're looking at. And it's difficult. It's difficult to do depending on what kind of access you have to it. Um, you can try to pump some of the gas out and see what you're looking at. You can check the fuel filters, see if you've got yeah, that's what I thought, Russell, is that Tomb Bright. I didn't have never seen somebody that put that effort in and say, "Oh my God, it lasted me half the season or all season." Um, Sir Justice, tell me what kind of boat you're looking at. But as far as I know, there's really checking the fuel filters and checking that out. If it's something that you have concerns, you could, you know, you could go to the source if you can get to it, and try to siphon some out. Try to get a tube down to the bottom, because any of that sediment is going to be down at the bottom if the tank is starting to fail. But center console would be my first time buying. Are you looking, Sir Justice? Are you looking at an older boat that has you concerned? It the the type of tank, the poly tanks that some of them are using now, isn't don't have those same issues. Some of the aluminum tanks is absolutely. So if you can, again, depending on the style of boat, depending on the age of the boat, depending even on the model of boat in some cases, if there's an access panel that you can pull up and you can kind of get a flashlight down in there, get a bore scope camera down in there if you're really concerned. That might be a way, if you're really concerned, looking at something that's maybe older, something that doesn't have good easy access. But all of that sediment's going to be coming down to the bottom, and that would be kind of my initial thought of the best way to inspect it. Captain, Marine Electronic Company affected by chip shortages similar to the car. Not that I'm aware of. Kashik. I didn't hear when I was down at Ibex, Lowrance, Hummingbird, Simrad, all those guys were down there. And I didn't hear any conversations or talk to those guys where they said that was that the chip shortage was the issue. Now they're having supply chain issues, but I don't know for sure it's the chips. I would venture to say that they are using some sort of chips in there. And but I don't know if it's the chip shortage that everybody's talking about. The ones that I'm hearing about are the car chips specifically. I don't know if the auto industry uses a special chip or if it's just silicone chips in general, or silicon, not silicone. Sir Justice, you're welcome. Glad that was helpful. I felt like I didn't give a whole lot there, but glad you got some value from it. All right. So we still got some folks on. Feel free to fire away, guys. Let's see if I missed any other questions here. I think, Michael, I think I kind of answered that one for you. I do know Michael, you were in, where did you say you were? Wilmington. Is that right? Yeah, Hempstead. I'm trying to think. I don't think I know anybody down in that area anymore. I knew a guy that was selling, but I think he's now doing charters or rentals. I know a few folks, and I know quite a few folks in Charleston still that are selling, but Wilmington, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. All right. So we got any other questions? Feel free to drop them in. Sunday, I'm going to be trick or treat with my girls, so there won't be a Sunday night Q&A. That's why we did it tonight. We'll see. This wasn't bad for a first one with kind of short notice. So let me know if you guys like. Okay, let's see here. Context: boat technicians or jobs as a career choice. They always seem to be in demand. You know, if you have the knack, that mechanical ability, that mechanical kind of sense, it is a super high demand job. You're right. You could write your ticket any city in the country that has any boating environment whatsoever. The pay very dependent on where you're at and what you choose to work on. So Seattle, like the boating market in Seattle, their hourly rate for the dealerships is over $200 an hour. You know, those dealers are working on bigger engines, some diesel, but you know, bigger, more expensive boats, newer stuff. Though that's going to be the higher ticket items, so more technological, nor technological stuff. The guys that just have their own, if you want a job, it's a great spot to be in. Go work at a dealer for a couple of years. You can go to a Marine Mechanics Institute type school and get schooled. The dealership, after a period of time, some sort of apprenticeship, some sort of let's make sure that you've got a good work ethic, that you're going to be reliable, that you don't make dumb mistakes, that you're willing to learn. They'll send you to Yamaha University. They'll send you to Suzuki School, Mercury Cruiser School, depending on what their brands are. And they'll do your training. Maybe there's some sort of they'll pay for it all, or they'll pay a portion depending on your tenure. The other way to go is that you open your own shop. If you're going to do that, the pay goes up. The newer the stuff that you work on, you can charge more. The guys that work on the, 2000 to 1980 stuff, the people that own those boats just don't want to spend the extra money. Some of them will do the work themselves. You get into a lot of situations where, after 20 years, 30 years, the motors just haven't been well taken care of. So you fix the issue and you do a great job on it, and then something breaks a week later because that was also not maintained. And so you can have a lot of customer service issues. It's tougher to make the money there. But if you want to go and work for a dealership, work for a boat yard, you really can write your own ticket. I think it's a great option because once you get that experience and you've turned wrenches on boats for a period of time, couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, you can open your own mobile technician shop and you can carve out a niche of clients A lot of people that have, if they have the business desire, a lot of technicians will then kind of build up their reputation in the area, and they'll pick up a boat line. They'll start do some brokerage and maybe grow a full business out of it. There's a couple of guys here locally that I know that are going that route. They're, I don't know, I would guess probably in their early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, and they're on that path. And but just depending on where you are, understand it's a seasonal business. And the further south you go, the more full time it can be. But if you're up in, if you're up in the Northeast or the upper Midwest or in Canada, you're in high demand when you're in high demand, and you got to work your tail off for those 3 or 4 or 5 months, and then crickets, because it's cold. So if you are interested, Kaushik, tell me, and I'm probably not saying that right, but email me at captain@boatbuyerssecretweapon.com. I'm not sure if I spelled that right, but the Boat Buyer Secret Weapon. Just captain@Boat Buyer Secret Weapon. Email me where you're located if you're interested, and I'll see if I can make a connection for you to maybe go talk to a dealer, or even if you wanted, just go to your local dealership and go and talk to the service writer and say, hey, I've got an interest in this. Maybe there's a local school that you could talk to, Marine Mechanics Institute. But if you just Google Marine Technical School, there's several in Florida. There's one that's like an hour away from me here, right outside Charlotte. So, so Michael, you're all set, huh? You got the best kind of boat, one that you got the title to. Tap the location with crack, sounded the same as all the others. Awesome, Harrison. That's good. That's the answer that you wanted to get. So now, just every 6 months or a year, keep tapping it, keep close eye on it, and you should be in good shape. It's not uncommon that you have those stress cracks. I need to make a video on this. I was thinking about this the other day, because that gel coat is so hard, and so thin. It's real easy if you get a little bit of flex, and right by the transom, by the motor housing, it sounds, that's a ton of torque being put on that area. It's not surprising that you would get stress cracks. You also get it anywhere that you drill into it. Just drill directly into it, like around the rub rail where they put the bimini top hardware on. You get a little slight crack at the screw point. That's why on some of the higher premium level manufacturers in the fiberglass, they'll actually score it first, and then drill into it. Like on the rub rail where they're mounting that, they'll score around it, and so they screw into the fiberglass directly and kind of skip that gel coat. Because once that little crack starts, it's kind of like a crack in your windshield. I just had my windshield on my truck replaced the other day. You push your finger on it and it just keeps going and going and going. Same thing on that gel coat. Is once that crack starts, every time it flexes, it's just going to go a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. But it's just cosmetic. It's just in that very, very thin layer. As long as that thick lamination schedule, that thick layer of fiberglass and gel coat, or fiberglass and resin, is not getting water in it, it's just like a scratch in the paint that's not going to rust. So, welcome from the UK, Ricky Drift. Welcome. Good to know we've got an international crowd tonight, or this morning. It might be morning where you're at. I don't know. What is it? 6 hours difference? All right. So Russell purchased 21 with the 115. Wish I'd got the Tri-Tune, more horsepower to pull my teens and tubes. Yeah, that's it. That is probably in the pontoon segment, that decision to go from the 115 double tune to the 150 Tri-Tune. It's probably now a $5,000 to $7,000, maybe $10,000 jump, depending on the models that you're looking at. And it's a tough one, because it seems like a lot of money. You're only going up 35 horsepower. but it can make a significant difference, especially if you're putting a lot of weight on it. If you're running with 6, 8 people and a full cooler, um, but I ran Russell. I'm not saying this is for you, but check out the video I did for hydrofoil. It's an interesting way to attack it. There are also, which I haven't done, but the third pontoon. There's a company that's making a plastic third tune that you can add on for a couple grand. The hydrofin installed on something like yours, I think, is like 3,500. I show it in the video, but I ran one down in Tampa at Ibex. I don't think it's for everybody, but it does give you better performance in the exact situation you are. I talked to, matter of fact, I talked to the owner of Hydrofin today. He wanted to use that video. He was asking to use that video for some different things. And I told him, hey, I think people need to demo this so that they can decide for themselves and setting up demos. So hopefully they're making that. Yeah, it's, that's the choice. It's one reason why, Russell, I've really lately been recommending renting the style before you buy it. So what I mean by that is go to Boat Setter. Boat Setter was on the US Boat Expo. I interviewed their VP, Shay Unity, a super nice guy. It's like Airbnb for boats. You can go and you can rent a boat from an individual. So it really opens up the type of boats that you can run. So you can rent the 2022 with the 115, and then you can rent the Tri-Tune with the 150. And yeah, it may cost you $400, $500 to do it for the afternoon, but now you avoid the situation that you're in, Russell. And for those listening that haven't made that decision yet, hey, it may seem like, oh, I don't need to waste the money. I can put that towards the boat. But if you're really struggling, one of you wants to go one way, the other wants to go the other way, or just having a hard time justifying that increase, go invest a little bit. And just it's in avoiding that buyer's remorse, like Russell talked about, and you can make a better informed decision, because no salesperson in the world, including me, can explain the difference between the 115 pontoon and the 150 Tri-Tune. And even if I did it, I felt I was a very honest and upfront, educational focused salesperson. I knew if I was working with somebody, they were going to get the boat that they needed. Even if I had one lady, I said, listen, what was her name? She was a realtor. But I said, hey, listen, if what you're telling me what you want to do 80% of the time is this, then you need to go buy a boat from one of these other two dealers. I'll tell you who to talk to. If that's only going to be a small portion, then you need to buy the boat that we're talking about. But you need to make that decision. And but even then, they're trying to make a sale. I made money when you bought a boat for me. I made zero if you didn't buy a boat for me. And so it's hard to know. That's why I really like that. Going to Boat Setter, going to actually run it, or go to an in-water boat show, or set up some multiple demos, which right now is virtually impossible. And you know, I think it's a step that can save a lot of people. So let's see. Buy your second boat first. Yeah. And Michael, it's, buy your second boat first. It is really good advice. And yet if it comes from a salesperson, you're like, but there's some motivation here, that you got to take into consideration. So that's why I really like that. Let's see, same situation. Yeah. And it does have it tends to be the spouse. One has one idea, one has the other. Yeah, Russell, I'm not saying that that's right for you, but it is that. Excuse me. And the third pontoon, looking at that third pontoon option. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's escaping me right now. I haven't run that. Just like I went back through some comments. I was kind of gathering up some testimonials for some updates I'm making to the website. And a guy asked about the Hydrofin a year and a half ago. And I was like, I don't know. I can't give you any insight because I haven't run it. Now after running it, I feel more confident that for a group of people, it's a great option. It's just a matter of if you're in that group or not. And I think running it yourself is the best way to make that decision, or at least talking to them so they can give you some specifics. So thank you, Russell, for the great video comment. I appreciate that. All right. We got anything else, guys? We're coming up on 45 minutes. We still got a few folks here. Drop your comments in. And there's that email. If anybody wants to email me, feel free. That's my email address. Kaushik. Just if you want to email that, where you're located, if it's you that's interested or somebody you know that's interested in maybe getting into the marine technician world, I'd be happy to connect you with somebody. It's a desperate need in the industry. I don't know how long this Q&A is, but how often do you do these? Thanks in advance. I am doing them Sunday at 8:30 is the one I've committed to do for a year. So I said, all right, well, I take that back. I've committed to do at least one a week for a year. I said, all right, I don't care if there's nobody on and I'm talking to myself. Fortunately, we've had really good participation, and I've been able to go for an hour answering questions. And so I plan on doing it the Sunday at 8:30. It works well for me. The Wednesday at 8:30 right now is working okay, but I'm going to be coaching my daughter's basketball team, which is starting up. I'm not sure when that practice is. My girls are in dance and they're in activities. And so usually the evening time is the best time to do it. So I'll put, if you see this banner up on YouTube, or Facebook, or the Facebook group, the Boat Buyer Secret Weapon Facebook group, that will be the day of that week. But I've committed for a year, and I'm 6 weeks in, maybe something like that. I've committed to do it for a year, and to see how well it works. One, I really get a kick out of it. I enjoy it, having good conversation, having, people like Michael, that you guys kind of talk to each other. There's times when I don't have the answer, and somebody in the group, somebody listening in does, or hey, I've got one way of looking at it and somebody else has another. Here's the thing that I've discovered, in selling boats and being in the industry, is I know a ton about boats. I've been around boats since I was 5 years old. I've been in the industry. I've sold boats. I know people in every aspect of the industry, from sales to manufacturing, to support services and vendors. I don't know anywhere close to everything about boating that there is. There's so much I don't know, probably more I don't know than I do know. So I know how difficult it is as a first-time boater, who you can trust, where you can go to get good, valuable information. So I think this, not only is this fun for me, but I think there's value. But I love when people comment in my comment section and give their advice and say, here's my experience. Or, let's see here, Ricky Drift from the UK. Their boating over there is different. They've got the narrow boats, and we had the guy from New Zealand that was talking about in Australia, the boating laws are totally different there in Australia. I had a guy from the Netherlands. Where was he from? Somewhere kind of Scandinavian, and and so it's really interesting. And even I'm in the Carolinas, boating up in the Pacific Northwest is different than I grew up in the Midwest and boated on, Lake of the Ozarks and small lakes and rivers. I just did a series with DNR conservation officers from Minnesota, and we talked about inland lake boating, boating in the Mississippi River, and boating on the Great Lakes. So in one state, there's 3 significantly different styles of boating, and that I have zero experience boating on Great Lakes. Don't know it. A little bit of experience boating on rivers. We boated on the Missouri River pretty consistently when I was younger. I boated on bigger, busy lakes, but boated a lot on small lakes. I've got a little bit experience at the coast, so I know enough. But there's so much that you guys that are listening in can add to those conversations, and so I've really really enjoyed it. So I will be doing it for a super long-winded answer to this. I will be doing it for at least a year. And, if it goes real well, I might add a second day in, but I don't want to do it too often where there's, crickets and nobody is getting any value from it. Just bought my second boat, listed my first boat for sale, live in Florida. You know, Here's Boat Setter is awesome. They do a fantastic job of marketing. I know a guy here that uses Boat Setter and Get My Boat. They both do the same type of thing, and he rents it out to people. He has some qualifications. You have to have boating experience. He's got to have a conversation with you and feel confident to put you on his pontoon, um, to take it out on his lake. Um, but he's buying other boats to do that. He's got a rental property, a lake house that he can rent it out together or separate. He's got a place to store it. It works awesome for him. I know other people that are doing that are making businesses out of it. Um, for me, depending on where in Florida you are, I think there's some concern of letting a non-boater take your boat out, causing damage to the boat, causing harm to somebody or themselves. And but they also have a captain's option where you can rent the boat with a captain. You have to be a licensed captain with your six pack, or better, depending on how many people are going out with you. But I think that's a viable option, especially for the next couple of years. With that said, right now, Nathan, is the best time to sell your boat. I mean, the prices are through the roof. Yes, you could rent it on Boat Center and you could have a stream of income and it can continue to produce income for you. But at some point, the prices are going to settle back down, and the value of that second boat is in Tampa. Okay, yeah. So I was just down at IBEX in Tampa at the Weston, um, that is by the sale. I did the Seakeeper demo. I did on that stretch where Brady tossed the trophy to Gronk. So that's where we were. So in that environment, you got to have a little bit more skill, especially if depending on the type of boat and where you're going. But I think it's a great option if running it as a business and understanding that now the boat that you've loved as your own is going to get dinged up a little bit. Somebody's going to spill something. If they're running it themselves, they're going to nick the prop and they're going to damage it. And you've got to see it as a business. Or you can just flat out cash out and say, hey, it was a great run. I'm going to give this to the next person. There you go, Ignacio. Hey, what are you selling? If we can make a boat sale on this live, that would be amazing to me. If we could find Ignacio the boat that he's been looking for, and Nathan's thinking about selling, that would make me just smile. So anyway, Nathan, feel free to put any of your info in there that you want. Understand that this is everybody can see the comments that you make. So if you guys want to figure out a way to connect, maybe on Facebook Messenger or something like that, but feel free to use the chat room to have a conversation. But yeah, it's I think the options depend on what you're looking for. But for Bob actually bought a boat for me. That's how I know him. He bought a boat that and now he's doing this rental thing. And he talked to me this summer about, hey Matt, can you set me up with a new pontoon or a used pontoon so I can do this? And so he was looking to expand his fleet, and was really, what did he tell me? Here are some numbers that he gave me. I don't know that this is normal. He's got a rental house that can bring in some business as well. He still goes through the same rental company because there's insurance that they provide, so he still goes through those platforms. But he told me he paid 40 some thousand for the boat, and in the first year, which was 2019 at the time when he told me this, he said he made 38,000 in rental fees. So he's got carrying costs, he's got insurance, He's got fuel and he's got the maintenance. But he basically got his boat paid for about 80% through his rentals. And he's got his own boat. He's got his own boat that he runs at his lake house. This is just a rental lake house and a rental boat that that he rents out. He does it all himself. So he sold his business and he's semi-retired, and this is a semi-retirement. So he put some time in there, but it's working for him. Just sold 2-year-old jet skis. Yeah, now for a pontoon. For the love of the shave. Hey, good to see you again. That I think you were on last week. I know I see you in the comments quite a bit. 03 Cape Craft 17 center console. I'm not familiar with Cape Craft, but Ignacio, if that's what you're looking for, if that's in the ballpark, you guys connect and let me know how it works. No commission fee, no nothing. Just let me know if it worked out. I'd be interested. So, all right. So we're coming up on an hour here. We still got about 20 people on. If anybody else has a question, I'll give you a couple of minutes here. I'll make my quick pitches for First Time Boat Buyers Academy. If you're looking, if you've got a lot of questions, you're nervous, you're welcome, Nathan. Glad to do it. First Time Boat Buyer Academy, I walk you through the 7 steps of the buying process from, hey, we should buy a boat. I know nothing. Give you everything that you need to know. It's, there's 200 plus videos on the channel that you can do, but I walk you through in a very systematic way to make sure you don't miss anything, from the style of boat, how to inspect a boat, how to test drive a boat. I actually get on these boats and walk through and say, hey, here's where you look. Here's how you look. The tapping thing. We talk about that on it, tapping the fiberglass, like, I don't remember who that was, Harrison, that did that. And here's what pays for itself is there's a negotiation section, how to make sure you get the best possible price on your perfect boat. Works like gangbusters. Bill sent me an email a couple weeks ago. He was on the live Sunday. He saved $1,500 on a used Crown line with the system. There's even today, you can still save. Another guy said, hey, listen, I didn't get anything off the price of the boat, but they threw in some gear and they gave me 10% off anything else I bought at the time of purchase, which was not normal for them. And, everybody says the demand's so high, nobody can negotiate. Well, if you do it the right way, you can. And again, it's got the money back guarantee. I'm very confident in the information I provide. So if for whatever reason you're not happy with it, no hassle, no runaround, no rigmarole. And then the best boat captain and the best pontoon captain on the water. These programs, if you need help operating your boat, check those out. They are frigging fantastic. And I'm super, super proud of them. boatbuyersecretweapon.com/captain. I get emails all the time from people that say, listen, this gives me so much more confidence, or we just went out and we used this technique and it changed our boating. The pivot technique that I teach in step number 8 of the building block system, it's something that everybody needs to know. It's less than probably one of the cheapest things you'll buy for your boat. It's $47 and it's money well spent. Again, there's a pontoon version, there's a single engine fiberglass version or single engine V-hull version, and it's got the money back guarantee as well. So, all right. So that's my plug. A little bigger. Oh man. So yeah, good luck, Nathan, selling it. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Any last questions coming in, but I think we'll call it quits there. I appreciate it, guys. And everybody have a great night. If you go trick-or-treating with your kids, enjoy it, have fun. I know they get hopped up on sugar, but for me, it is, I get a kick out of seeing the kids having so dang much fun. Now, the week after Halloween where they're eating all the candy, that's not as good, but the day of Halloween, I really, really enjoy in my neighborhood. So thanks, guys. We'll see you not this Sunday, This was pretty good for a Wednesday with short notice. Maybe we'll start doing a Wednesday one. I got to think about it. Talk to my wife and see if it's going to work. See when basketball practice is going to be. But thanks for joining me. Remember, life truly is better on a boat, and I appreciate you guys supporting and being here.